Let's begin by taking the tower out of the case and placing it on the ground. You may need to unlock two knobs on the base, one towards the silver ring and one lower by the slats that connect the legs. These will allow the legs to expand. Sandbags are required to be applied to the base when in use. This is not an option, so we require you to use your sandbags for safety. This is a light tower, and the weight of the tower is not sufficient on its own.
Pay attention to the black slats between the yellow legs. You want to line these up to be parallel or even with the ground. This gives you the maximum stability.
There are 5 locking points on the base of the LX. 3 yellow safety collars and 2 black twist knobs which push into the unit and hold the tower in place. Now, the LX is a tower that turns. That's the point of the way the camera moves. So to do this, you need to unlock the black knobs on the base so that the tower can rotate. You position the yellow safety collars in this position, one above the silver ring and one below where these bearings are in place to hold the position of your legs so that it won't shift when you open up these black knobs. Also notice the position of the black ratchets. They need to be positioned on the top one facing up and the bottom facing down so that they do not bump into the legs when you turn the tower. Notice the clearance that you need to make this happen. There is one additional point on the bottom. There's a yellow collar underneath of the black slats which go between the legs. You need to unlock this black knob as well, but position the yellow collar under these black slats to hold it in place so that the slats cannot shift lower than your position. Now find your HiPod head mechanism, pictured here, with mounting pedestal at the bottom of it, and insert into the top of your HiPod tubes. Notice that at the bottom of the L-shaped mounting area there is a ratchet which you must twist to tighten the tubes so the head connects firmly into the top of the tubes and will not come out. Now we're going to attach the HiPod handle. Notice the 2 clamps on either side of the tube which are compressed to hold the tube by spinning the black X-shaped piece to the right. Also notice the black knobs on the tube are on the right side of this position. This allows for easier setup going forward. Now we're going to attach the handle to the head. At the bottom of the handle you will see 2 cables coming out from the unit, and then you will attach these to the cables coming down from the head with one cable going in one direction and the other in the opposite direction around the bottom of the handle. This creates a rounded surface for the handle to turn the round head in the proper direction. These cords must come out of the bottom of the handle, not the top. There are 2 large silver screws on the handle, and knowing the function of each screw will help you to use your unit more effectively. On the handle itself, between where the cables come out of the bottom, there is a screw that if you tighten it will lock these cables in place so they can't extend or retract. This is useful when elevating the tubes to unlock, allowing the cables to extend and then lock again for better control of the handle. The second screw is the position lock screw. If you tighten this, you'll leave the handle at a fixed position to lock off a shot. This way you could take your hand off the handle for a moment. If you unlock it again, you'll be able to twist the handle. Underneath the bottom tube collar and above where you've placed the handle, you will install the LCD bracket. Open the collar of the bracket as such and then twist the silver metal screw into place to grip it to the tubes. The LCD bracket has a long black metal extension which raises up about a foot above this locking point, allowing you to place the monitor more at eye level. Now it's time to attach the LCD to the unit. On the back of the LCD you will see a groove which will fit into the tip on the LCD mounting bracket. Just slide this into place, and then on the back of the LCD from the tip you'll see a round twist screw which will secure the position of the monitor so that it won't move while in use. You can see a closer view of that motion here. A very important consideration: when changing the angle of the LCD, unlock the ratchet on the bracket at this pivot point. Adjust the LCD to preference and lock again. Don't simply try to push the LCD as you'll harm the track on the back. If you purchased a unit before 2017, you have a battery for your LCD that accepts 2 pins on a battery plate on the back of the LCD. Line up the battery on the plate in the grooves to accept the pins. Note that the ratchet on the back of the LCD bracket must be facing away from the screen to allow space to mount the battery. This is the new LCD for 2017 going forward. It uses a different battery system. Note there's a piece of Velcro on the back and there is another one on the battery itself. You will be using 2 ports on the back, HDMI 1 and the DC port, both marked with red arrows here. This is the battery for the LCD. The exact model may change over time, but setup will remain the same.
Take the battery and use the Velcro to attach it to the back of the LCD and connect the USB port to the DC port with this adapter. This sends power from the power pack into the LCD itself. Once you have the battery connected, click the round button and it will start to glow blue. On the front of the LCD, the red button will light up, indicating power is connected. Turn on the unit by clicking the power button and then toggle through the input settings until you find your video input source. To charge the battery for the LCD, there is a short micro USB to standard USB cable that you will plug into the wall adapter. Plug it into the wall and you'll see the battery glow blue.
Now let's talk about camera setup. There are two big differences between earlier cameras and current cameras. For the earlier CX220s and the cameras in that line, you'll have a battery that looks like this, which attaches to the back.
Newer cameras that started shipping in August of 2016 no longer have a battery slot in the back of the camera. They have a fixed shell now, and you have to plug into an external battery via the USB cord in the hand strap. You can see an image of the battery we're shipping now, although we have also shipped a white one previously. Either connect in the same way. You can connect the battery to the top of the HiPod tubes via one of the brass screws as pictured here, or you can attach it directly to the camera plate where the camera actually sits itself from underneath. You attach it with the screw as pictured here as well.
If you're going to use the rain gear and also as a different way to mount it, you use the same brass screw and mount the battery pack to the plate under the camera directly. Also take note, the cable and remote setups will vary whether you have a camera with a battery in the back physically connected to the camera or whether you're using this external battery pack connected by USB. We will flip back and forth between the two cable and camera setups.
One final note about the current USB power pack style battery, you will need to run an extension cable, which is a USB female on one end that plugs into the camera's USB cable in the handle strap to the standard USB port that is in the power pack battery. This is how you run power from the battery to the camera. You will need to click the button that is on the side of the battery so that it turns on and you will see the blue lights flash. Otherwise, the battery will lay dormant and not power the camera. This is important so that you don't accidentally draw power from the small internal battery in the camera. When plugging into the larger power pack, plug the USB cord into the port that says 2.4A. Otherwise, if you plug into the smaller of the voltage out ports, it will give you an error message on the camera saying the accessory cannot be used.
Now let's go back to the cameras that have a battery physically plugged into the back of them. A lot of people have been confused about how to charge those batteries. What you do is you leave the battery in the back of the camera and plug in that camera to a USB power source. This can either be a computer or a wall adapter with a USB. This is how you charge that battery.
To charge the USB power pack style battery, there is a micro USB power cable similar to the one for the LCD included in the kit, and you plug that into either the wall adapter or to a USB port that is on a computer to charge. You'll see the blue lights light up until 4 of them are fully lit to indicate 100% charge.
To set up text on screen to see your battery and record status, follow these steps. From the default screen, hit the menu button and then select camera mic in the top middle. It'll bounce you into a scroll window and then look for scene selection. Your display will change to look like this. Then on the far right, you'll see an arrow. On the bottom, go ahead and click on that and leave your screen here. You will see standby, which turns into record, and battery life. Each time you turn the camera on, you will need to set this up. Now to program your camera so it won't auto turn off after a few minutes, go to Setup and then scroll down until you see something that either says Power Save or Eco Mode, and then go ahead, click into that and turn Power Save or Eco Mode off. It varies based on which model you have. Also, if you see an option that says Demo Mode, you would want to go into that and turn that off as well.
Continuing with camera settings, this is something you're going to need to do at first time setup only. New cameras shipping in 2017 have an automatic dual video record setting activated in the camera. What this does is to record 2 files of the same clip in 2 different formats. What that does effectively is to take up twice as much memory in your SD card as it needs to. So to turn this off, this is what you need to do. Go to Menu, and then after that point, click on the top right icon that says Image Quality / Size. Then scroll down to where you find Dual Video Record option and make sure that option is turned off. That will save you this extra file space and allow you to record longer at a time. One final note for those of you who are using the USB power pack style camera battery, to confirm the correct battery is powering your camera, Once you have text on screen set up as explained earlier in this manual, look at your screen, and if in the top right-hand corner you see a battery icon, either dead or partly charged or anything at all that shows a battery, that means you're drawing power from the small internal battery in the camera. You need to click the external power pack battery on the side once connected for it to take over as the main battery for the camera. Otherwise, if you use the internal battery, that camera will die within 30 to 45 minutes. Once you have clicked the external battery and it is turned on, the battery icon on the LCD will disappear. This is what you want, and it confirms the larger battery is active as the power source for the camera.
Now let's talk camera remotes. You'll have one of the following: the Sony Silver remote, the Vivitar, or the VariZoom. These three remotes set up the same way. A new remote, the black Sony, has also started going out, and that has a different setup. We'll come back to that later. Different remotes have gone out over the years with different cameras. You can see this remote, the Silver Sony, has been shipping from 2010 until about mid-2015. To mount this to the handle, open up the plastic clip in the back and attach it to the plate coming out of the handle. The Vivitar remote shipped from 2014 through 2015. It has a clip on the back that, if you open, will attach to the same plate coming out of the handle. The VariZoom remote was introduced in 2015. It has two screws in the back which hold a metal plate into position across the back of the remote. Open up those screws enough to create a gap and then slide the remote onto the same plate on the handle. Tighten the screws to hold the remote in place. Now, to set up the top cables for these first three remotes, follow these directions. Look for the multi-port, which is on the right side of your camera. Then find the multi-adapter cable, which has a rectangular skinny port and then a female D-shaped port on the opposite side. Your D-pigtail or D cable will plug into the multi-cable. It's highly likely that instead of the D-pigtail, you have this version with the full RCA cables as well. Disregard the red, yellow, and white cable and focus on the black cable with the stereo plug. This is the only one that is used. The stereo jack on the D cable will plug into the female port on the long, skinny black cable. The opposite end with the pins is where you plug in the remote. At the bottom of the tower, for the Silver Sony, Vivitar, and VariZoom remotes, you will have a 3-pin connector. Plug that into your long, skinny Lank cable. That finishes the remote setup for cameras with a battery physically in the back of them. Now, for those of you using the black Sony remote, this is your setup. Go into your case and find this black plastic cradle. This is what you're going to slide the remote into. You see it has a clip in the back. This is going to attach to that plate that juts out of the handle. Slide the remote in, turn that clip sideways, and then attach it to the handle itself. You can see a close-up of that connection here. To connect the remote to the camera, the process is much simpler. There's only one cable. You can see it here. The black end goes into the camera and the white end goes into the remote. Do not reverse this, as if you do, it's not going to work. Also, loop the cable around the silver part of the handle a few times to cut off any stress or strain that might occur between the cable and the remote port. At the top, you can see where that cable plugs into the camera with that yellow tag. I'm pointing to it here. One thing I'm going to take a moment to reinforce is that you use the strain relief plate included with your unit. You can see the black plate under the camera that the cable is threading into. We'll go into more detail on this in a moment, but essentially, if you use this plate, it stops the cables from pulling or dragging on the camera ports, which can damage your cable tips or the camera itself. We include this plate for an important reason, and if we find that you have damaged your camera without using this plate, it may void your electronics warranty. Standard with all towers is the cable strain relief plate. You can see it here. This plate will lock your cables under the camera so that they can't pull on the delicate ports where they connect. You can see you thread one cable in one of these grooves and the other in the other groove. And they will need to be facing in opposite directions, so the connecting ports come out on opposite sides of the camera where the ports are available. When the cables are in place, attach your camera on top like this, and then underneath you will screw into the camera to connect tightly. Using either a screwdriver or even a coin will work. With cables threaded under the camera using the strain relief plate, it will look like this. To connect to the HiPod head, find the smaller hole in the middle of the strain relief plate and attach this to the wheeled HiPod head by taking the gold screw and inserting it into that hole from beneath the plate and then tightening the secondary screw with your fingers until tight. This will keep your camera securely in place and will prevent damage from tugging on the cables from beneath the tower. Now, for all versions, take your HDMI cable and plug the smaller end, either mini or micro, into the camera. Take the standard end and plug that into the LCD at the bottom of the unit. Regardless of what remote you have, tie off a strain relief at the bottom of the L shape on the head. Take your video and LAN cables and make a slack knot around the apparatus. This will help prevent damage on your camera connecting ports.
The latest towers in 2017 are shipping with a carabiner connected directly to the cables for connection at the hook on the top of the poles. You can do this instead of tying the knot if this is on your cables, but if the carabiner is not on your cables, you must tie the cables around the L shape of the head as shown.
To use the camera rain gear with your unit, after the strain relief plate is in place, put the rain gear underneath of the strain relief plate and sandwich it to the head as you normally would with the gold screw. When the rain gear is in place, it should look like this. On the side, you will need to cinch the cord that is available with the plastic holder so that the hole is completely tied up and is closed. This will keep water from getting into the unit. You can see how the LCD rain gear attaches here. There's room in the back for the battery and it connects with the Velcro. Your remote rain gear looks like this. More commonly, you attach the rain gear over the remote and control with your hand on top of the plastic rather than inside, but you can insert your hand through the hole through the side of the bag should you want to.
On the plate of the HiPod head, you will see a leveling bubble. This allows you to make adjustments to ensure that your horizon line will be even when viewing the field. You can adjust as such to keep the bubble in the middle. Now it's time to extend your HiPod tubes. Open one of the black twist knobs and elevate the tubes to whatever height you desire. Turn the knob again to tighten in place. When bringing the tubes down, grab the pole above a collar and then unlock. Do not simply open the black knob as the tube will shoot down. Above each collar, you will find a strap of Velcro. Use this to secure your cabling, as it not only helps to keep it neat and out of the way, but acts as a strain relief throughout your unit.
When it's time to put away your tower, here are some tips. Unlock the 3 sliding yellow collars and then also unlock the 2 black locks that are in the base. This will allow your legs to fold. Now put your foot on the black slats and push down and pull up on the silver ring. The legs will fold in. Line up all of the knobs on the tower, both the 2 that are in the base and those in the tubes. This will allow the tower to fit back into the case. And that's it.